menyiapkan sarjana di bidang penyuluhan pertanian unggul, dan memiliki kompetensi sesuai dengan kebutuhan stakeholder, serta berdaya saing di tingkat nasional dan internasional. Kedua, melaksanakan dan mengembangkan penelitian dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat dalam pengembangan penyuluhan pertanian yang berorientasi pada pertanian industrial berwawasan lingkungan. Ketiga, mengembangkan jaringan kerjasama dengan stakeholders di bidang penyuluhan pertanian di dalam dan luar negeri. Program studi penyuluhan pertanian masuk dalam level 6 pada SKKNI. Jumlah SKS minimal yang harus ditempuh oleh mahasiswa S1 sebanyak 144 SKS. Sarana penunjang proses pembelajaran di program studi penyuluhan pertanian yaitu ruang kelas, ruang seminar, laboratorium media penyuluhan, laboratorium sosiologi pertanian, studio radio pendidikan Sosek atau Radis FM, studio audio visual, kesenian tradisional Tiban Sulu, greenhouse, perpustakaan, agro technopark,
Aku.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us turn on the camera so we can see each other and make this event more interactive and share the knowledge as we share through the offline seminar. So we have a lot participant here, already 104 participants. Please to turn on the camera before we start the whole agenda. Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Wahyu Rizky Harwoto. The Honorable for the Rector of University of Jember, Dr. Iwan Taruna M.Eng. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, Professor Dr. Insinyur Sutriyono MP. And the Honorable to the Dr. Alexander Flor. And Dr. Christina E. Gabrielo as our beloved guest speaker. Welcome. Good morning. And here it is a wonderful and precious opportunity for me to be master of ceremony in this beautiful Saturday, September 25th, 2021. This event is about effective and innovative communication for agricultural extension. First of all, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us guidance, happiness, healthy, and mercy, so we can attend and participate in this event without any obstacle. Praise and salutation upon our Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, for the magnificent enlightened ways. In this moment, I would like to say welcome to all beloved guest speakers, and also Leni Wijayanti SP MSc PhD, and then Dr. Anda Sofia M. Hum as our remarkable moderator. And also, I would like to say thank you to all committee and the all participant here. It's really joyful and grateful for me to be here as your master of ceremony. In this special morning, allow me to read several sequences of our agenda. First is opening, and then singing Indonesian national anthem and hymn of University of Jember. Third, greeting and speech from Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. Fourth, greeting and speech from Rector, University of Jember, also give the opening remarks. Fifth, main discussion. Sixth, closing and taking picture. Well, to take advantage of the quality of the time, let's start this agenda with pray who lead by Yustri Bayhaki SAMP. Mr. Yustri, time is yours.
Baik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, selamat pagi ya, dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Dan izinkanlah saya memohon kepada hadirat untuk bersama-sama menundukkan kepala sejenak seraya kita berdoa sesuai dengan agama dan keyakinan kita masing-masing. Bismillah wa billah wa minallah wa illallah wa anallah wa fillah la haula wa la quwata illa billahil aliyil azim. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma sholli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, dengan segala kebesaran dan keagungan-Mu, dan dengan tak henti-hentinya kami mengucapkan puji serta syukur kehadiran-Mu, serta dengan menadahkan tangan untuk memohon kehadirat-Mu. Pada saat ini kami hadir dalam melaksanakan acara webinar internasional jurusan Penyuluhan Fakultas Pertanian Universitas Jember. Tiada harapan dan dambaan kami, melainkan mengharap barokah dan ridho-Mu selalu menyertai kami. Ya Allah, ya Sami, ya Basir, di awal pertemuan ini berikan kelancaran kegiatan kami sampai nanti di penghujung acara. Dengan mengharap kemanfaatan ridho, barokah dalam pelaksanaan webinar ini, guna meningkatkan pengetahuan, keterampilan, serta kepribadian kami. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, Tuhan yang Maha Pengasih lagi Maha Penyayang, ampunilah segala dosa dan kesalahan kami. Kabulkanlah doa dan permohonan kami. Terimalah taubat kami. Dengarkanlah harapan dan permohonan kami. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim. Wa tub alaina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mr. Yustri. And then the following agenda is singing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and hymn of University of Jember. The following agenda is greeting and opening speech. It will delivered by Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember, Professor Dr. Insinyur Sutriyono MP. Professor Sutriyono, time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat pagi, good morning. Sugeng Enjang, Honorable Rector of University of Jember, Honorable Guest Speaker, Dr. Alexander from University of Philippine Open University, Dr. Christina Gabriola from Visayas State University, and Honorable all participants of international webinar. Good morning. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to all participants because this morning we are still given the opportunity to meet and be able to carry out international activity, even talk conducted virtually. The international webinar entitled Effective and Innovative Communication for Agriculture Extension that is held by the Department of Agriculture Extension, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember, in collaboration with the SDP, Islamic Development Bank, attended by student, lecturer, researcher, and extension worker. This activity is program of the Faculty of Agriculture and the Department of Agriculture Extension. The Faculty of Agriculture has 33 national and international webinar that must carried out based on the performance contact and the Faculty of Agriculture with University of Jember. This activity is carried out for objective. One, preparing graduate in the field of agriculture extension and have competency and development communication. Two, improving the skill of extension graduate in choosing and determining the right communication technology for the farmer. And three, increasing the ability of lecturer and student and development communication, research, as well as educational insight for a member of the research group of agriculture and extension development in conducting future research of communication and the effectiveness of using communication. As the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, I inform all participants that the Faculty of Agriculture will hold an international conference of ICAL atau ICAL, which will be conducted November 3 until 2021. And on this occasion, I invited you to participate, both listener and presenter. Thanks a lot the committee, the SDP, and all those who have helped this activity. Finally, I would like to ask the rector of Jember University for opening this international webinar officially. Thank you and see you at the next international event this coming November. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for the greeting and opening speech from Professor Sutriyono. The following is greeting and speech, and also give the opening remark from Director University of Jember. I would like to invite the Dr. Iwan Taruna M.Eng. Please, time is yours.
All right, thank you very much for the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, distinguished participants and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear colleagues in Agriculture Faculty, University of Jember. On behalf of the University of Jember, of course, at first I will deliver our pleasure and very honored to welcome you here today in this morning event that, as Dean said, hosted by the Agricultural Extension Study Program, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. This morning, of course, we are happy to have you in this virtual room to participate as well as to share in the webinar that carrying out the theme of effective and innovative communication for agricultural extension. We got notice from the organizing committee that this webinar has invited international speakers and participants. They're coming from, as I notice here, is from the Philippines, to Professor Alexander Flor from the University of the Philippines Open University, and Dr. Christina Gabrielo from the University of Visayas. It is nice to see you all. Please accept our regard and thanks for your attending in this event to share any knowledge and experience regarding to the today topic. And then thank you also to be patient and complying with our ceremony. Maybe it's get long in your opinion. I fully appreciate to whom that contribute in realizing this event, including organizing committee that led by the Dr. Sri Subakti and Professor Sutriyono, the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember, and especially to the Director of PIU HDB project, who committed to fund this event. Yeah, but unfortunately, due to pandemic situation worldwide, we must be doing this event or ceremony as it is, without meeting and talking each other in delighted room, or then enjoying coffee and snack together as we did usually in the past. Yeah, it means that we must continue to what we call it, keep implementing the COVID-19 health protocol as recommended by the authorities until, yeah, we know that until we got herd immunity among us. So let's just pray for our continuous goodness and happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that everyone in this forum know very well that agricultural extension plays an important role in our country development, especially in the agricultural sector. Yeah, it has proved that it boosts, boosting the agricultural productivity, increasing food security, of course, improving also rural livelihoods. Yeah, and then this is important also, promoting agriculture and as an engine of proper economic growth. Yeah. There are several methods in agricultural extension work, in which the selection of these methods, yeah, selection of this method or combining several methods that will be used as strategic implementation will, in my opinion, will strongly depend on the situation, on condition applied in the location. But whatever method we use in the agricultural extension, the role of communication is very crucial. Just correct me if my statement is wrong. Therefore, I strongly agree with the topic brought to the webinar, that will be discussed. That will discuss about the effectiveness and innovativeness of communication for agricultural advisory services. It is also, I will add the information that the term carried out in the present webinar is relevant to the University of Jember Vision and Mission, that actually toward to be outstanding university in the development of science, technology, and art with a perspective of environment, businesses, and industrial agriculture. That's why the rector is presenting in this morning webinar just for nothing except to support this event to enrich our academic and scientific activities. I would say, to close this statement, don't delay carrying out the best idea, don't retain the newfound discoveries, and don't cover off any beneficial knowledge to our surrounding. All right, I should not talk much, just let's start this webinar to listen and discuss what the speaker experience and knowledge to share in this event. Beginning with saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I inaugurate officially this webinar. I apologize. Maybe after some time, I am able to continue joining this webinar because due to conflicting with the other agenda. I wish you all very successful webinar. Thank you. Have a good day. Wabillahi taufiq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Dr. Iwan Taruna, for the speech and opening remarks. So that's it. We already opened this agenda, and for the beautiful morning, let me to guide you to taking the picture with this with fresh and happiness face we have here. So please open the camera, turn on the camera, and give the best expression we have. Okay. I will say it on the first page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The second page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, we have 6 pages, so maybe it's take time. I said again, 1, 2, 3. Next, 1, 2, 3. Last page, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Now is the main agenda. Our main agenda is speech. And before we go that agenda, please allow me to show the moderator curriculum vitae and the rules. I will share the CV. Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Anda Sofia M. Hum is the lecturer from Study Program of Agricultural Extension, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. The educational qualification is graduated from bachelor degree in English Department, Faculty of Cultural Science, University of Jember. And then in advance, she is graduated from Master Program, Women Study Program, University of Indonesia. Based on the professional history, Dr. Anda Sofia be a lecturer from 1987 till present in Agriculture Faculty, University of Jember. And then be a member on some research group Cocoa and Innovation Development in University of Jember, and then Gender and Community Development Research Institution, University of Jember, and then Research Group on Culture and Creative Economic Research Institution, University of Jember. Okay, that's it. That's all the CV of our moderator today. I would like to invite Dr. Anda Sofia M. Boom to guide our whole agenda till the end of the day. That's it from me as the Master of Ceremony. The next time and place I would give to Mrs. Sophia. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for the time for me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the webinar held by the Department of Agriculture Extension, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Hopefully, you are always happy and healthy. Happy and healthy is very important now because it can increase our immunity. With good and high immunity, we will be healthy and safe from the pandemic that is still ongoing until now. We don't know when the corona pandemic will end. We hope that corona will end as soon as possible, so we can do seminar like this, not virtually, but directly. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is an agrarian country whereby most of the population are farmers. So agricultural development is very important. To succeed in the development of agriculture, the role of agricultural extension is very important. In this case, agricultural extension worker, as one of the agents of change, have tasked to communicate or to convey innovation and technology from the expert of agriculture to the farmers to be implemented. In this case, communication is one of the keys to success in agricultural extension because technology and innovation in agriculture can be understood and implemented by farmers through the effective communication. Ladies and gentlemen, the corona pandemic has changed many things in life, including in communication. Before the pandemic, we can communicate directly, face-to-face with others, to convey innovation and technology in agriculture. But now we can do it. We have to keep distance from them. So that is why we need to discuss about the effective and innovative communication for the agricultural extension in this webinar this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, in this webinar, we will present three amazing presenters who are expert in communication, especially in agricultural extension. The first presenter is Professor Dr. Alexander Jiblo from the University of Philippines Open University, Faculty of Information and Communication. Hello, Professor Alexander. Good morning. Welcome to the University of Jember, though only virtually. The second presenter is Dr. Christina A. Gribilu from the Visayas State University. Hello, Christina. Good morning. Welcome to the University of Jember. And the third presenter is Leni Wijayanti, PhD from the University of Jember, Faculty of Agriculture, Department of Agricultural Extension. Ladies and gentlemen, Before beginning the presentation, I will read the rules of the game in this webinar. Firstly, the three presenters will present their paper. After the session of presentation, we enter the session of discussion. In this discussion, or in this session, participants are invited to ask questions to the presenter by mentioning the name, the institution he or she come from, and the intended presenter. For example, Uni from Bangda Jember. The question is for presenter 1, 2, or 3, and so on. In this session, I hope the participant asking the question write the question in the chat room. And the last is the conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will enter the presentation. Before presenting his paper, I will read the curriculum vitae of the presenter. The first presenter is Professor Dr. Alexander G. Plo. He is the Dean of the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies, University of the Philippines, Open University. His education, he has a bachelor on journalism, Trillium University, and he got Master of Science from Development Communication University of Philippines, Los Banos. He got PhD on Development Communication in the same university, University of Philippines, Los Banos. And also he got he did postgraduate on Information Studies, East West Center Institute of Culture and Communication, Honolulu, Hawaii. He has a lot of publications, but I will read his professional history. His publication is March, so I just read his professional history. The first is Dean Faculty of Information and Communication Studies, University of Philippines Open University. And also, he is one of the professor chair knowledge management for teaching and research. And also, he is chair of commission Higher Education Technical Committee and Alternative Learning System. And also, he is a vice chancellor for R&D UP Open University 2000 until 2004. And also, he is a founding program manager Siameo Siarka Knowledge Management Program from 1998 until 2002. The next presenter is Dr. Christina A. Gabrielu. She is from Visayas State University. He has bachelor degree on Development Communication, Visayas State University. And he had Master of Science on Development Communication in Agricultural Extension, Visayas State University. And he got PhD on Development Communication with Cognate in Environment Science, University of Philippines, Los Banos. His professional history on 2030 until 2021, he is a head of Development Communications Department. And in 2013 and up to 2021, he is a station manager and program director of DPD. Then on 2012 and 2013, he is as World Bank consultant, community benefit plan of the ethanol plant in Carlota, Bicol City. And in 2012 up to 2013, he is a head of multimedia development center. And the last, he is also the head of PSU printing press from 2020 and 2030. I'm sorry, I must use mask because last month I've got COVID, so I must be careful until now. Next, the following presenter is Lenny Wijayanti, PhD. He is from Agricultural Extension Department, Faculty of Agriculture, University. He graduated from Socio-Economic Agriculture, Faculty Agriculture, University of Jember. And for his master, he is from Extension Education, Minor Development Communication, University of Philippines, Los Banos, Philippines. And for PhD, he got PhD from Extension Education, Minor Development Communication, University of Philippines, Los Banos, Philippines. This is, I have read the CV of presenter. Now we come to the main main webinar. The first presentation will be given by Professor Dr. Alexander G. Flo. Good morning, Professor. Now the time is.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sophia, Professor Dr. Sophia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
His Excellency Dr. Irwan Taruna, Rector of Universitas Jember. Professor Dr. Sotriono MP Paperta, MP. Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas Jember. Faculty and staff and students from Universitas Jember, my fellow speakers, Dr. Gabrilio and Dr. Wijayanti. A pleasant good morning to all. I would like to share my screen, please. I would like to request the host to allow me to share my screen. Yes. The host has disabled my screen sharing. Could I request the host to please allow me to share my screen? So my screen is still, yeah. Please, may I request the host to allow me to share my screen? still, I would like to show you my presentation. The host has not enabled me to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to call on the host, Jurnal Tirana. Is this Ibu, or to please allow me my screen? Could you change my status to co-host so that I could share my screen, please? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, please bear with me while we wait for the presentation to load. Okay. As stated earlier, my name is Alexander Flor, and I am what we call a UP scientist, and currently the Dean of the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies of the University of the Philippines, Open University. I will talk this morning on the science of delivery. The science of delivery, or SOD, a proposed ICT, that means information and communications technology, and KM, meaning knowledge management, a proposed ICT and KM framework for agricultural extension in Indonesia. Now, the first part of my talk is the background, where I will be speaking about KM, or knowledge management. Knowledge management in Indonesia would be what? Management ilmu. Am I correct in saying that? Knowledge management. I will be also speaking about digital extension, or e-extension. And then proceed with the presentation. Now, first of all, I would like to dedicate this presentation to a colleague of mine. His name is Seyuman Nuftafa, Dr. Malcolm Hazelman, who was a frequent visitor of Indonesia during the past decade. Seyuman Nuftafa is a Samoan title, meaning tribal chief. So he was one of the tribal chiefs in Samoa, but he was also the FAO regional office in Asia and the Pacific, extension and communication officer. So he visited Indonesia frequently. Unfortunately, in 2016, he passed away. But we worked very closely together in the past 2 decades. We collaborated on information and communication technologies for agricultural extension in China, in Sri Lanka, in Indonesia, in Thailand, and in Vietnam. These are the countries where we worked together. We collaborated on ICTs for agricultural extension. We had a project called Open and Distance Learning for Agricultural Development and Rural Poverty Reduction, a comparative analysis of best practice and innovation in 2009. We also worked together in what the FAO calls a regional assistance project. This is regional prospects and initiatives for bridging the rural digital divide. We worked on agricultural extension ICT resources in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand in 2003. And also on a project called Information and Communication Opportunities for Technology and Transfer and Linkages in 2002. Now, the thoughts that I'm going to share here with you is closely linked with his insights and with his thoughts as well. One of which is this quote from a paper that we wrote almost 20 years ago. All over Asia, agricultural extension systems have been severely emasculated by four factors. First, the abolition of the national extension system. This is all over Southeast Asia. The national extension system has been abolished and devolved into provincial extension systems, except for Indonesia. Another factor is the decentralization and devolution of extension services. Another factor is the top-down perception of agricultural extension. And then the rivalry between research and extension in the agricultural technology process. This paper came out in 2002. However, the existing information and communication environment, meaning if we talk about ICTs, it poses new opportunities for the field. And as I said, this was written in 2002, almost 20 years ago. We published this almost 20 years ago. Now, also, I would like to refer to a project that I was very much involved in from 2005 to 2006, called the ADB for Farmers Income Improvement Project through innovation. Now, I had Indonesian counterparts from the Extension Service, and as well as other agencies in Indonesia. And our approach here was knowledge management. Okay. And the goal was to manage the intellectual capital and knowledge assets of the agricultural research and development sector for the benefit of the Indonesian poor farmer. Another objective, the goal is sharing and reuse of technology, innovations, indigenous and local knowledge. This is what our intentions were from 2005 to 2006. We believed that knowledge is power, so we give the power to the poor farmer. Now, one of the things that I found out, well, this is the goal of knowledge management, where you have undocumented or tacit knowledge, ideas and experiences. We capture this and put it on what we call a knowledge base. And also we have documented or explicit knowledge captured in documents, in texts, in videos, in audio recordings, as well as others. So they are all placed in a knowledge base for sharing and reuse. This is the goal of knowledge management. Take note that the generation of new knowledge, the theory building or the generation of new knowledge or research is not part of knowledge management. Research precedes knowledge management. Going back to the ADB for Farmers Income Improvement through Innovation project, we found that major users of agricultural information are scientists, researchers from National Agricultural Research Institutes. Number one, this is the number one user of agricultural information. Scientists from the private sector is the number two user. The third would be technical staff from DEPTAN, from the Ministry of Agriculture, the third major user. Fourth would be professors, lecturers, students, researchers from universities such as Universitas Jember. would be the fourth major user. And then extension workers based at the DINAS or from private firms that have extension workers like Monsanto, for instance. Okay? And the last user, unfortunately, is the farmer. Now, we would have wanted that the farmer would be the first user, Kaptama, our farmers, and then the extension workers also, instead of the other way around. Well, they are capable, since this is a house of a farmer in 2005, and they do have satellite dishes, even in remote areas in Central Java. In the ADB for Farmers Income Improvement through Innovation Project, we also learned that the content most relevant to the poor farmer are those that would have immediate impact on his income. Take note, it's not on production, but on his income. And this is true also in the Philippines. So what do they need? Accurate, up-to-date price information. That would have an immediate impact on his income. Available assistance to source potential market outlets. Again, not very likely on production. Low input technologies for crops in marginal areas instead of high input technologies. Low cost post-harvest technology that extends the shelf life of the farmer's product. These are the content which is most relevant to the poor farmer. And here we have a meeting of a Kelompok Tani in Temanggung. Again, we found that National Agricultural Information Resources, the project targets are being fulfilled by the different offices at the national, the district, the kabupaten, and the municipal levels. We have a national farming website. Market information system is also there. Then it was Kadi, Singosari, and Pasar, as well as other. But there are areas of improvement. This is a poster or the billboard for Pasar in Temanggung. It's called Temanggung Net. But the information flow, there are modest attempts of three-way interfaces between research, extension, and farmer. Okay, the three interfaces between research, extension, and the farmer. Modest attempts for two-way information flows between the extension worker and the farmer. And these may be strengthened by incorporated information and knowledge and feedback system for research agenda setting. This is the Palura of Temanggung also. He's showing us the crackers that he made from Aren. Okay. And he was looking towards making a profit out of this. So these are some of the findings of the ADB Poor Farmers Income Improvement through Innovation Project in 2005 to 2006. But you know, since then, that was 15, 16 years ago. Since then, there have been changes in the way we think about knowledge management. Okay. Before, there was no difference between conventional knowledge management and knowledge management, the way we apply it in the government sector. Ilmu of management, ilmu. Okay. The government sector for development. And this table is part of an article that I published in 2018 3 years ago in the international, yes? Yeah, okay. Now, the purpose of KM is to increase the company's bottom line, to enhance the organization's ability to conduct core business. Now, the intention or the purpose of knowledge management in the public domain is to help achieve sustainable development goals. This is the purpose of KM4D, or knowledge management for development. The considerations in conventional KM is security and accountability. The consideration for KM4D is synergy. The thrust in KM for the private sector is internal knowledge sharing within the company. So it is within the company, within the organization. The thrust for knowledge management for development is external knowledge sharing from project, agency to beneficiaries and stakeholders. The levels of utilization is in a private company, it's just organizational level. But in the public domain, we have project level knowledge management, agency level knowledge management, sector level knowledge management, thematic KM, knowledge management or knowledge sharing among communities of interests, communities of practice, and communities of champions. In terms of system functionalities for your knowledge management system, we usually have messaging and collaboration, file sharing, document and content management, as well as search in the private sector. But for the public sector, we also have online learning as one of the functionalities of knowledge management. So the content in knowledge management for the private sector is demand-driven, while for the public sector, it is supply-driven. Okay, now let me talk to you about a proposed KM strategy, where the coverage is to make available technical, local, and indigenous knowledge that form the content of extension services. Imagine extension services that not only involve technical knowledge, but also local knowledge and indigenous knowledge. What is the difference between local knowledge and indigenous knowledge? Local knowledge is what is found in the locality. It is not generated by scientific research. Okay, it is the knowledge of the farmer. Okay, ilmu petani, the knowledge of the farmer. Indigenous knowledge, on the other hand, would be the knowledge of indigenous peoples. Like, for instance, in Sumatra, the knowledge of the Batak, that would be indigenous knowledge. Okay? In East Java, it would be the knowledge of the Sunda, okay? Ilmu Sunda. Okay? Now, in Central Java, that would be Ilmu Javo. Okay? That would be indigenous knowledge. Now, accessibility of extension or advisory services to mediators and smallholders is also the coverage of this proposal that I'm going to make. So we establish a knowledge management system that ensures availability and enables accessibility. And it develops capacities to populate, administer, and to maintain the system. In other words, we should have a knowledge management strategy for agricultural extension that would cover knowledge management systems, agricultural extension. It would cover the content of this system, as well as the capacity, the training needs of the personnel who man the extension system. So I will present to you now a framework for knowledge management for development that is appropriate for the Indonesian agricultural extension sector. I actually presented this 5 years ago to some some of your officers at the national level, extension officers at the national level under a Simeo Circa. This is the reason why I am using the Simeo Circa logo here in my presentation. Okay, and this framework is based on what we call the science of delivery. I will have to explain to you what the science of delivery is, and the dimensions and elements of this framework, as well as the agricultural extension model that we would like to propose, and how we operationalize that. Okay, now first let me talk about the science of delivery. You know, how do we deliver knowledge? How do we transfer knowledge from the research service to the farmer? How do we transfer knowledge? How do we deliver knowledge from Universitas Jember to the Petani? How do we do it? This is what the science of delivery is all about. The science of delivery was proposed by Dr. J.Y. Kim. He was formerly the Director General of the World Health Organization. And he was the president of the World Bank under President Obama. But he was replaced by President Trump when he took over. But he was the president of the World Bank appointed by President Obama. And he proposed a science of delivery, believing that there should be a deep understanding of delivery as essential in our development work. If we do not have this deep understanding of how we deliver something, then we will fail in extension. There are demand-driven knowledge products and services, but these are not enough to bring about the desired development result. Okay, our farmers, they have they feel that they need certain types of knowledge, but these are not enough to bring about the desired development result. There must be effective delivery to be useful at the local levels, and that development results are produced. And there may be inconsistencies in the development results, which may be attributed to lapses, inconsistencies which may be attributed to conflicts in the delivery, conflicts in the provision of extension or agricultural extension. Now, there are dimensions of the science of delivery, which I would like to enumerate here. The first one is that we have to support frontline implementation by collecting local experience and feeding that knowledge back into practice. Okay, what is it trying to say within the context of agricultural extension? Okay. What it is trying to say here that what we extend should not be only limited to research results generated by science, but it should also include local experience, success stories of farmers themselves. You feed this knowledge back into practice. Okay, supposing in Temanggung they have their own technology that nobody else knows about, then that should also be part of the content of our extension service. Secondly, we should enable extension delivery skills based on the experience of the most successful practitioners. From 1970 to 1990, Indonesia was #1 in agricultural extension in Southeast Asia. I will repeat that again. From 1970 to the 1990s, maybe 1995, Indonesia was #1 in agricultural extension services. You had a very strong-willed director general, DG, agricultural extension then. You had people like Monty Nagara. They were very strong-willed, and they had a very clear vision of what agricultural extension should be. Okay? And the agricultural extension workers at the DINAS level, as well as the other local levels, they had very good experience that should have been handed down, that should have been shared to the younger generations of extension workers. Instead, many of your extension officials went to here in Los Baños to be trained in agricultural extension the Philippine way, or to the US, to Ohio State University, to Iowa State University to be trained in the American model of extension. But how about the knowledge of your superiors, your pioneers? Maybe now it is gone. It has dissipated when they have left the service years and years ago. What we're saying here is that we should enable extension delivery skills based on the experience of the most successful practitioners. That should be captured. Your success story should be captured and shared. Also, we incorporate prospective research to spur innovation and evaluate new extension techniques. So there is also the contribution of the formal research sector of new extension techniques. For instance, the agricultural extension departments of the university could volunteer research-based practices or innovations. And then there should be a deep analytical framework that can help explain and adapt successful approaches to solving agricultural extension delivery problems. Okay, these are the dimensions, 4 dimensions of the science of delivery. And yeah, again, I will repeat this. We need local knowledge and indigenous knowledge, research-based innovation from the universities and from the research institutions, extension skills and technique sharing from the veterans, from the older generation to the younger generation. And then we need to have a delivery systems framework, and this is where knowledge management would come in. What would be the best delivery system? Should it be WhatsApp? Should it be Messenger? Should it be text, SMS? Should it be social networking? Should it be community radio? Should it be the cable system? These are the things that need to be considered. So I prepared here a model where you incorporate all of these things, okay? So the agricultural extension delivery system should include research-based innovation plus local knowledge, the delivery systems framework plus the sharing of skills in delivery or in extension from the older extension workers to the younger extension workers. And then we add this, okay, research-based innovation plus local knowledge, delivery systems plus delivery skills sharing, and then you add both of this, innovation plus delivery system. So this would be at the conceptual level, and this would be at the practical level. This is your science of delivery model for agricultural extension. What are the implications? The agricultural extension delivery model can serve as the basis for an innovative extension or knowledge sharing protocol wherein local knowledge and operational knowledge supplement technical knowledge. If proved sound, the model may be emulated by the agricultural extension sector in Indonesia, and perhaps Indonesia will again become #1 in agricultural extension all over Southeast Asia. Now I think it's Thailand. Now I'm going to introduce a way of evaluating the extension system, and this is through a window with 4 panes. This pane here would represent local knowledge, and so if local knowledge is included in the system, then we give this a check. And this here would be research generated innovation. This other pane would represent the delivery system framework. And yes, this is the sharing of extension skills. Now, all of these 4 panes should be checked, okay? You remember the model. For us to have a complete, holistic agricultural extension system. Okay, now let me operationalize this with you in the last remaining slides here. What would be the components? I took the liberty of putting together mission, vision, and goal statements and strategic thrusts, and plus a strategic framework. So let's take a look. For knowledge management for development vision statement, we envision improved, effective, and demand-driven e-extension services for smallholder farmers. Okay, that was gone, yeah. Made possible through technology-enabled delivery, sharing and reuse of explicit and tacit agricultural knowledge and knowledge products. Okay. And the mission statement would be, our mission is to empower poor smallholder farmers and producer organizations in Indonesia through improved delivery and technology-enabled access to agricultural extension services. Our goal statement is 5 years from now, maybe 4 years from now, poor smallholder farmers and producer organizations in Indonesia will have improved access or access to improved, more effective, and demand-driven e-extension services. Okay. And this would be the internal knowledge management objectives: to capture best practice and lessons learned on agricultural extension delivery, to capture and document related services events on agricultural extension services delivery in Indonesia, to address agricultural extension capacity development needs through online learning, toolkit provision, and internal knowledge sharing and reuse. So these are our external KM objectives, and I may have to so the strategic thrust, because these are the, bear with me, these are the final slides that I have. Systems development. We develop a knowledge management for development system, okay, which will address both internal and external agricultural extension knowledge management needs. Okay. We need to develop content also, and this should include local knowledge resources, and we need to train our extension force to make use of technology and innovative extension techniques. Well, these are just system requirements. You see, if we're talking about knowledge management, we need infrastructure, hardware, services, platforms, functionalities, as well as content. You know, and this is for internal knowledge management. This is for external knowledge management. Internal would be for the organization. Let's say this is for Universitas Jember, then this is for Jember only, and this would be for the farmer extension collaborators. Okay. Okay. Well, if you have any specific questions with regard to this, I'd be very happy to answer them. So I guess this would be it for now. I would be very happy to answer your questions later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Professor Dr. Sophia? I'm finished.
That's okay. Thank you very much for your presentation, for Dr. Alexander. Now we come to the second presenter. She is Dr. Christina Gabrielu. For Dr. Christina, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Sophia. The Honorable Rector of the University of Jember, Honorable Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember, Head of the Extension Program of the University of Jember, faculty, students, my fellow presenters. I have a big salute to Professor Dr. Alexander Floor of the UP Open University, Dr. Lenny Wijayanti of the University of Jember. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to everyone. So my presentation is just a sample of a delivery system Dr. has mentioned. So let me share with you my screen. Okay, I hope you've seen it now. My screen.
Yes, we saw it.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Well, this is an output of my dissertation at the University of the Philippines, Las Bañas, and I'm very grateful to my graduate advisory committee. And this was done in Mindanao. So actually the title of this presentation is Accessing and Using ICTs, or Information and Communication Technologies for Rice. For rice technologies. And let me give you this outline, a very short outline. Why ICTs for rice technologies? What did I do to gather the data or data? What have I found based on the experiences of rice farmers and agricultural extension workers, or we call them AEWs here in the Philippines, and their experiences of using ICTs for rice technologies? What were the problems that they met? And my proposed model based on the transcripts and based on the themes that I was able to make in this particular study. So we know the communication technologies enhance the information flow and facilitate the delivery of what now we call modern agricultural extension to sustain, shall we say, life for sustainable agricultural development. So in this particular study, let me zero in on the two ICTs the rice farmers have used. both the rice farmers and the agricultural extension workers. So the mobile phone, using the mobile phone, the rice farmers are able to access to the rice management, nutrient management for rice. And they will just dial this code, whether they are using both Smart or Globe SIM, they will dial 2378. And for the extension workers, agricultural extension workers, they're using the internet with this Pinoy Rice Knowledge Bank, which the ERI initiated. They call it the Rice Knowledge Bank. And then they launched the Pinoy Rice Knowledge Bank with the PhilRice. So we call it here in the Philippines, Philippine Rice Research Institute, using the palay check from pre-planting of rice to post-production and post-harvest. So before, the farmers really didn't have a cell phone. So I think I did this one in 2010. So that's more than 10 years ago. And the mobile phone is just very, for them, it's already a symbol of, shall we say, modernity. They would say that they are more progressive farmers if they have a unit of a mobile phone. And also, our agricultural extension workers are making use of this PRKB, we call it the Pinoy Rice Knowledge Bank, because in it is a digital extension service wherein it bridges the gap between the researchers' laboratory to the farmers' fields. So it is a package of information as to how to do rice farming the right way, as they say. And in this study, I used a qualitative phenomenological lens, and I did end-of interviews with the rice farmers and the agricultural extension workers, or AEWs. So I'll just say AEWs, not to make it shorter. And these are the study sites. So I did this in Caraga, so it's somewhere in Mindanao, wherein the primary source of livelihood is rice farming, and in this 3 municipalities in Agusan del Norte. So these are the RTR, or Remedios T. Romualdez, in Butuan City and in Buena Vista. So for the profile of farmers, because this one is on the qualitative part of the study. I also did a quantitative where I had 300. I did phenomenology. I just had a small number of participants. So for the rice farmers, since at the time when I went to the houses, so we're still allowed to go to the different houses of our farmers because it was not the pandemic time yet. So when I went there, like 6 early in the morning, the farmers were not, the husband farmers were not already there because they went early to the farm. So what I did was to interview the women or the wives of those husband farmers. They are for lunch, and then when they go doing the rice planting. So the ages range from 40 to 59 years old, although the average age of our Filipino farmers now is 57. So it's still within 40 to 59 years old, and they had 2 to 6 household members. So there are, like for example, they have 4 children, so there are 2 to 6 household members. And these rice farmers reached or finished high school or secondary education. Their monthly income ranged from 10,000 below to as high as 50,000 pesos a month. No, that's a month. And they solely depend on rice farming for their livelihood. And majority or almost all of the women farmers are members of a cooperative. So they have this association or a farmers association or a cooperative wherein they relied on loans for their cropping enterprises. So that's the strategy. They loan for their because they don't have enough capital to buy seeds for the rice. For the rice planting. So they loan money from their cooperative to be able to buy those inputs that they need for the rice production. On the other hand, the agricultural extension workers were all female. Oh no, we're all male, sorry. So that's in contrast with the women farmers. So they were all male and they were older than the farmers. So because their ages range from 51 to 60 years old, and they were all married with only 2 to 5 household members. The AEWs finished a 4-year course in college. It could be in agriculture or it could be in agribusiness. Their monthly income ranged from 10,000 to as high as 20,000. So if you compare it to the farmers, they only have lesser income every month, but as you can see it's stable because they are employed by the government. And they also became members of the cooperative that they assisted. So they assist those cooperatives of their farmers, and eventually they became members also. And one thing good with the AEWs, they allotted a portion or a parcel of their land for experimental purposes, because they said that they should try it first before they're able to convince the farmers on any technology on rice that they would promote. So that's what they said during the interviews. And these are the themes that I was able to draw out from the transcripts and from the interviews that I had with them. For the rice farmers, they said that using the nutrient management for rice, NMR, okay, NMR mobile. They said that these ICTs made them trendy. So I also mentioned that they said that it's just very rare for them before to have a unit of that mobile phone because they cannot afford to buy it. But as you can see, they were just using the old one, just like what I have shown to you, the Nokia. And also, the ICTs facilitate finding of solutions to their farm problems. So immediately, by just dialing 2378, which is the hotline of the ICT that is based in the RKB, Rice Knowledgement Bank in Field Rice, there's that voice that would answer to their problems. For example, if they would ask for how many bags to buy for fertilizers, when to do it, when is the right timing, and what a combination of organic fertilizer that they would use. And of course, the ICTs enhance their farm skills on rice nutrient management, and it enabled them to link their produce to the local buyers. They said that before the use of this, before the advent of these ICTs, it was very difficult for them to sell their rice produce. But with the advent of those ICTs, like this hotline, they could also hotline number. They could also immediately link to the buyers. So it's the buyers of the rice produce that will go to them. And also it enabled them to increase their crop yield, of course, because they were using the right nutrient management of their rice farms or rice fields. And so they're not wasting like fertilizers, and also it enabled them to protect the environment, because they're also combining organic fertilizers in their farms. For the AEWs, these are the 4 themes that I was able to analyze. So the first theme is that the ICTs for rice technologies have become part of the lives of the AEWs, because when they go to the field, they have with them their mobile phones. And then because there's only a limited number of AEWs in that areas, so even if they are not within the area of those farmers, then the farmers could also reach them, and they could give an advice aside from the farmers accessing to the hotline. And the ICTs also, as what the AEWs mentioned, that it facilitated their extension work. So so they said that it makes their life easier when it comes to using the ICTs. And it also served as guide in giving advice to farmers. So the farmers have those NM Rice mobile number with a specific advice, which is location specific. No, so which is really addressing the problem in the field. And then the AEWs also have those ICTs, and they can even like research in the internet using the PRKB, or the Pinoy Rice Knowledge Bank, with the Palay check. And also it gives them a sense of empowerment, because they are more confident to advise to the farmers, because they would just say that, okay, so, and they can make clarifications if the farmers cannot understand what the voice and the hotline number would say. Okay, there were only 2 problems met by both the rice farmers and the AEWs. They said that at the time, the cost of the mobile phone load is high. So it's very difficult for them. Maybe at the time there was no much promo yet, but for now, I think we have many promos already. So you can, just a very small amount, you can log on to the internet, you can log on to the social media. And another one is, the second is the weak signal from the cellular communication network. So because at the time, there were no repeaters, or shall we say cellular sites in their area, so it's very difficult. They will climb up they will go out of their houses, but it's good because in the rice fields, it's open. If it's upland, then they just climb up the hill. But if it's lowland, it's good because in the lowland areas, they can easily access the mobile phone signal or the Wi-Fi signal. So for this proposed model that I was able to make after all those transcripts and the themes that came out from the study, I was able to propose this one because I think they said that they said that it should be, everyone should be involved first in the planning. So to have a constant dialogue and regular monitoring and evaluation of these access and use of ICTs, I put in here 3 factors, like enabling factors, like there must be an environment for ICT infrastructure. We have to provide like shall we say load, and maybe cell phone, the load for those or the Wi-Fi signal for our farmers, because it will also enhance the interface of ICTs with other media available in the area, and it will provide incentive and support system for AEW. So meaning because even the AEWs have no load incentive at the time. So I don't know now if they already have it. No, before they just buy their own load. But if we provide them, these infrastructure that like the load or the cell phone, so to make it more interactive to their farmers, then that will be good. And the farmers and the AEW should always communicate. We should always, they should always collaborate with each other, and for an improved and effective delivery of information, and that would be an effective agricultural extension. And this will create a more sustainable access and use of ICTs for rice technologies. I hope this model is just simple to understand. And I would like to bring to you this quote now that I got from the internet, and it is said that investments in agriculture are best weapons against hunger and poverty, and they have made life better for billions of people throughout the world. So an agricultural extension could help make it happen. So with that, since this is very short, I will be very glad to also answer your questions later. Thank you very much. Good morning once again.
Morning.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And now we come to the third presenter. She is Leni Wijayanti, PhD. For Leni, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Good morning. Wait, I will set my PowerPoint first. Before I continue my presentation, I start my presentation. I would like to greet the first and second presenter, Dr. Alexander Gilflor and Dr. Christina Gabrielo. And also I would like to greet all the participants here. Okay. Actually here, this is, sorry. Something disturbing me. This is my my research. So I would like to share this research with all of the participants here. This is about capacity of farmers in accessing agricultural information. Okay. Okay, agricultural remain an important component of Indonesian development, especially in terms of providing food, increasing employment opportunity, producing raw material for industry, and generating foreign exchange, which is why effort to increase agricultural productivity is constantly a priority for the country. The development of agriculture is influenced by the development of technology advance and information for farmers. It's, like mentioned before by Dr. Flor and Dr. Christina, the development of technology and information is currently very fast. Society seems to be required to follow all forms of technological development that are increasing modern and advanced in order to access information that is currently easy to obtain, update, and disseminate. Yes, actually, how to access the information, maybe it is not a problem for us because we know, we aware, and we use the technology to access that information. One of the goals of agriculture development is food sufficient in order to achieve food security and food sovereignty. This is because the increase in population in Indonesia, also in the world, will directly increase the need for food. Okay. Maybe some of you still remember the song of Omai Rama is around 70s. This about his song about the number of population in Indonesia is 155 million. But now we can check that the number of population in Indonesia is 270 something millions. It's very big population in Indonesia. And also because of the big population, we need to feed them. This is actually most of the role of the farmers. Food security and food sovereignty are issues that have always been the agenda of agricultural sector. Okay. One of the rule is to increase the productivity of agricultural production, and also for production, it is a little bit difficult to increase because as we know that the land size is become decreased right now. So here, okay. So role of the farmer has around 70 or 80% as a provider food for all of the community, for all of the population in Indonesia. So farmers should able to increase their production or increase the productivity per hectare to fulfill the need of all the community. But to access the information, sorry. Sorry, I thought that I already shared my PowerPoint. Okay. So this is my first PowerPoint presentation that I mentioned before about how the role of the farmers to fulfill the need of all of the population, all of the people in Indonesia, especially in Indonesia, meaning that to fulfill the need of the food, all of the people, they should increase the production or productivity of their land. But this is the problem is how they get information, how to find or to find out the information regarding to activity that they do. Okay. As we know that I think that it's not only in Indonesia, it's also in other countries that we have different characteristic of farmer. Even the farmers are stay in the same area, but to find out the information, it also influenced by some others characteristic of farmers, such as age of the farmers, educational level, commodity that they plant, social economic status and experiences and their experiences. Okay, as I read from other research that age of the farmers also influence how they find out the information, because for the young farmers, they more easily to access the information rather than the old farmers. And also here for the educational level, most of the farmers only got or have low educational attainment. So the characteristics of farmers, such its educational level, commodity that they plant, socioeconomic status, like size of land, and also income for a year or a month. Also, their experience is ini kan sekarang. Ya. Wait, sorry. Stop share. Yeah. It's sorry. I have something it's a bit inconvenient for all of them. Okay, thank you for helping me. Maybe this is one of the example how the old, even I'm not really old, to set this PowerPoint also sometimes we got difficulties. Okay, so here there is a large scale of farm and also small scale of farm. The large scale and small scale of farm also have different way how to reach or how to find out the information. Because for the large scale of the farm, usually they will use technology and communication to meet information they need. But for the small scale here, they still have they don't able to find out the information because some of barrier of their what they have. One of agricultural information, okay, through mass media. we know that through mass media, the farmers can change their attitude, knowledge, and skill. But here in this study, I'm not mentioned about attitude, knowledge, and skill of the farmers, but most of the how they need the information and then what they use for media they use to get the information. So some of study about mass media also influenced by the area that they live. For example, for the radio. So a study of Nikkei 2009 in Africa and India, Mehdi, Devi 2009, they mentioned that most of the farmers use radio to find out the information. So this is maybe because most of the area are flat, so it's not surrounding by the mountain. So the signal easily to find them. Also, the result of Shao 2009, in Mongolia, Yunnan, Jiangsu, and Jiangxi province, they use television for reach the information regarding to the agricultural information. Okay. Function of the media. One is production function is the use of communication media to produce information. Second, reproduction function is the function of communication media to produce and duplicate information. For example, audio tapes, recorder, and video tapes. Third, delivery function is the function of communication media to disseminate and convey message to the communicant who is the target of communication. Source of information, it can be printed such as from the book, newspaper, brochure, leaflet, poster. But again, use of printed media is depend on the characteristic of the farmers, meaning that if most of farmer doesn't have ability to read, so meaning that it's just very, how you call it, this is not appropriate for them. So when we will give the information through this printed media, we should know how is the how is the resources there? Are they able to read? Or maybe here, maybe the book, newspaper, or brochure, leaflet, poster will just go to the kitchen just for putting the food or something else, something like that. Information needs. There are three kind of information need by the farmers. It's not only for the farmers, but it's also for us. For example, unrecognized need of information. If someone does not know the information needed and only realize it when they have a problem and need the information. Unexpressed need of information. If a person realizes that he or she need information but does not want to take action to find out information. Express need if they take action to satisfy a need for information. Is all information need also fall to farmers? Sometimes if they feel that they are ready, it's okay for all of the practice they did. So they will not try to find others new information. This is usually for the farmers that fall to old farmers. But it will be different for the young farmers. They always express need, even they need it or no, they will always try to find out the information. Information needed by farmers in farm management can vary depending on the cultivated agricultural commodities. Information on agriculture can be broadly categorized into several sub-activities in farming, such as technology and innovation, processing, market, climate and weather, demand or supply, and capital. Some of the agricultural information can be accessed through communication media, which is available around the farmers. Okay. Maybe this is also happened in all of other area in Indonesia. That's, for example, for the technology or processing, they will just use or they will just practice from their parents and also for their when they see from their neighbor, for example, like that. So purpose of this study to identify the need of information among farmers and also to identify the use of media among the farmers. I conduct this research in East Java in Ambulu subspecies. This is it's around 15 or 20 kilometers from our university. I choose this area because most of the farmers in this area are planted rice. And also most of the farmers are members of the group. In this area, there are 4 classes of the group. Complete 4 classes of the group. So, and also I for the sample, I use 114 out of 423. I use Slovene method to formulate this sample. This study used primary and secondary data. The primary data, I use a questionnaire. I asked to the farmers any kind of information or source of information that they use for this study. I interview one by one, not in the a group, because I want to know that they have different perspective about information needed and kind of or source of the information. And for this research, I use a descriptive to for analysis. This is the local of this study. The Ambulu is on the below, so the near the sea, while our university is in the middle. In the Patang here is our university. The site area for my research is in Ambulu. The characteristic of a respondent. So we ask the farmers that have age range 40 to 75. So here in Indonesia, we still have years 75 for the farmers. But most of the respondents are in the moderate age. 41 to 76 is around 47.37%. While for the educational attainment, most of the farmers is elementary school, 73 or 74 and only a few of them are graduate from graduate school is or bachelor degree, only 4. It's as much as 3.51%. While for the household size is 4 to 9. Here I categorize below 4 and 5 to 7 and up to 7. Actually, for from my research, they have a kid only 2 or 3 kids, but it's usual in the village that sometimes their family also stay at the same house with them, such as for maybe the parent of the farmers or maybe the niece, the nephew of the farmers. So for the household size here, so all of the person who stay in the same house with the farmers. So not only the farmers and their kid, but also their relative who stay in this house. While for the farming experience, range 5 to 66, and most of them have experience on farming practices about 23 to 40 years, is as much as 51 to 75%. So if we saw from this characteristic of respondent, most of the respondent in the moderate age, and then they reach elementary, most of them elementary school, while they have under the, it is, I think that 5 to 7 also moderate. And for the farming experience too, also is, they have high experience in farming practices. Use of media. Here in my study, I mentioned about interpersonal, group, and mass. And then this is the result of my study, that most of the farmers are use interpersonal communication to find out the information, and only 70, it's also a big 57.02% is using mass media, while for the group is about 74.91. Interpersonal use of media by the farmer, because in this research, farmers explain that they most use the interpersonal media because they interact with farmer in this group, even in other group, because in one village they have many group of the farmers. Sometimes there is 5 or until 7 group of farmers. So they always discuss with them, but the also they interact with trader who buy their product. Okay, and also here they interact with seed distribution and with pesticide distributor. Sorry. Also with the extension worker. For the extension worker, there is a private extension worker and then also government extension worker. Usually they come to the farmers regularly to discuss with them and inform them about the problem of the farmers. When the farmers inform them their problem, for example, about the pests that attack their plant, they can discuss with the pesticide distributor. And also when they have a plan to planting some kind, for example, for the rice. If they could not find the seed in kiosk, they will find the distributor. Of course, if it will help by the head of the group farmers. And also for the group of farmers. Okay, even though not all farmers attend the group activity, but almost all of the farmers are a member of a group farmers. Sometimes they don't have time to participate in the meeting activity because they have other activity. And also there is a religious activity that they can share also the information about agricultural activity. While for the mass media, they use radio, television, and newspaper, also in the internet, as mentioned by the speaker before, Dr. Christina. Here also in Indonesia, we use also internet, even though not all of the farmers are able to search the information through the internet because the lack of their knowledge about internet. Maybe they can ask their family or their son when they need to access the information. Information needs by the farmers, that there is some list from farm management, innovation and technology, pest disease, market, capital, input, and government policy. According to them, most of them need information about capital. It's much as 88.60%. Yes, of course. I think this is also the problem of the farmers, not only in Indonesia. If we ask about the capital, they will always say that I don't have enough capital. So how to find it? How to reach the capital to process the agricultural practices? The agricultural, the farm management. I think this is the problem of the most of, maybe is not happen in other area, but in my research, most of them, the farmers doesn't able to access credit or loan from the bank because according to them, many requirements needed to get the loan. So to they find the solution to have the capital. They will have access to cooperation. Sometimes they got loan from the group of farmers or for rice milling. So this is the way how they find out the capital to do their farm management. The second is on input. Yes, 74.66% the problem and information needed by them is about input. For example, about the seed, fertilizer. The most of the information needed is about the fertilizer, because sometimes the fertilizer is not available in the kiosk or in their village. The fact they should use the fertilizer to fertilize their plant. As this is a problem also, the information that very needed by them, The third is about innovation and technology. Why the innovation of technology had in the third place of information needed by the farmers? Because according to farmers, that's the people who get the not all of the farmers are able to get the innovation, because usually that some like a technology in one village, sometimes only one new technology, for example, for the direct settling is only one for one village, and also they got difficulties to manage it. The other is on farm management, pest disease, and also for the market is 65.79. Why? The market is lower than other information needed by the farmers, because according to them, there is a buyers that come to their village to buy their products, or sometimes because they have a loan from the rice milling or from the corporation, so they will just sell their products, rice production to them. So for them, it's not really a problem, or not really needed the information, because they already have already have the place to sell their production. Okay. This is the conclusion that the communication media most often used by the farmers are interpersonal group and mass media. The information most needed by farmers is about capital, availability of input, availability of innovation and technologies. Thanks. That's all my research. I turn back this section to the to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we come to the session of discussion. There are some questions here. The first question is from Muktasam from Mataram University. This question is for three presenters. The questioner said that no one talk about forestry and agroforestry extension, all talk and focus on food crop extension. To this actually reflecting the bias of our extension paradigm? This question is for three presenter. Okay, let's the presenter answer about this question.
Ibu Sofia, I'd like to answer that question, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this question, Muktasam from
yes, from Mataram University.
Mataram University. Mataram is in North Java, is it?
No, in
East Java. Yes, right.
No.
Okay. Now, Pamuktasam, we were given the topics to present. Okay, so but there was no intention to limit the scope of our presentations or the scope of the principles that we presented to agriculture or lowland agriculture. I don't think the principles of extension are sensitive to agroecological systems. The science of delivery that I presented is good both for forestry, agroforestry, or lowland agriculture. It doesn't discriminate among agro ecosystems. Just make sure that local knowledge is taken into consideration, the sharing of local knowledge and indigenous knowledge. That is very, very true to forestry. Please take note that there is forestry and agriculture, there's no zero-sum game, meaning the benefit of agriculture does not mean a disadvantage to the area of forestry. I myself, my first assignment in Indonesia in 1979, 1980 was in Central Java. It was with the Ministry of Forestry, Natural Resources. It was Perhutanan. The project that I worked with was the UNDP FAO Upper Solo Watershed Management Project. It's a watershed management project through people's participation and income generation. It was the first project making use of people's participation as an approach in the so-called international civil service. The project was designed in 1978 and was eventually implemented in 1980. And it made use of people's participation and as well as innovative extension techniques. I could actually share with you some materials that provide emphasis on sustainable agriculture, a sustainable forest, on forest restoration, on climate change. If I may be allowed to share my screen again. Okay, will the host allow me to share my screen? Okay. Now this is, okay, I'm going to show you, sorry. This is the ResearchGate service, and I'm sure that many of you in Universitas Jember have already tapped this service and are already members of ResearchGate. Okay, now this is my profile page, and if you could go to the profile page, I will copy this link and share it on our chat box if you're interested, because this link will provide several resources on how extension should be conducted, whether it's for forestry or agriculture. If you could scroll down to my profile page, there are several readings here, books that you could download for free. This does not require any membership or any fee. The first one here is The Science of Delivery, Exploring Dynamics Between Technical and Local Knowledge Within Delivery Systems. You could just click on this and download it for free. There are resources here that are that is good for forestry as well as for agriculture, such as An Emerging Network for Sustainable Agriculture, a social network analysis of permaculture practitioners in the Philippines, and that includes forestry. And yes, this one is Knowledge Sharing for Climate Action. It's a full book, which was published in December 2019. You could download it for free. These are all what we call open educational resources, published, many of them published by the Open University, and you could use it in your classes. Your students can download it for free. and it covers the entire range of agro ecosystems from forestry to agriculture, many of them. Okay. What I talked about was this, the science of delivery. So I will just post the URL, the link on our chat room. But if you would want to have a complete view of the resources available here, which are open, just click the view all here in the stats overview. Click this view all link and it will bring you to a page where all the resources listed here can be seen and downloaded for free. Okay, and you could also do a search on ResearchGate on other resources. Okay, so that's it. We have no intention. We're sorry that we gave the impression that we're focusing on agriculture. By all means, we are not. What we are sharing is good for both forestry, agroforestry, as well as agriculture. There is no zero-sum game between the agro ecosystems. The difference between the funding of the Agricultural Extension Service and the Forestry Extension Service, I think, is a function of your ministries, of the departments and the budgets that are allotted to them. But I don't think there is an intentional move to downplay the importance of forestry. It is very, very important. Conservation is very important. Restoration is also very important. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Sophia. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your answer. For Mr. Multazam, discussion seminar in this time is focused on crops. So Dr. Alexander is focused on crops in agricultural extension. Now maybe Dr. Christina have another answer for the question of Mr. Multazam. For Dr. Christina, please.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Dr. Flor was right. No, so we're not limiting only to crops, but we are also particularly on rice. For me, in my presentation, I'd like to share with you that here in the Visayas State University, we are now promoting the planting of indigenous or native species of trees. So we are now having this we call rainforestation farming, wherein we encourage our farmers. We cannot just categorize them as tree farmers or rice farmers. Our farmers in general to also plant trees. No? We know that there's a big impact of climate change. No, anytime we just don't know that there's a typhoon coming and everyone is flooded. No, and any part in the world. So it's very important to promote tree planting, and that's one of our primary like research and extension activities here at the university. So we also have HR in here, so that's why it's very important that we keep on encouraging our farmers, the sons and daughters of our farmers, to keep on planting trees. And now we are emphasizing on the local, indigenous, native tree species here in our area. Thank you.
you very much for the explanation of Christina. Maybe Buleni will give the answer about the question of Mr. Mutasam.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Mr. Muktasams. Okay, so sorry about that. Actually, we don't want to discriminate any kind of study. But I also have some other research about forestry, about fishery, and also about food crop. So because when we say about the agriculture, it will also discussing about forestry, fishery, and plantation, and something like that. So sorry about this. I'm not. We are not discriminate the other study, but for the research, we have specific. We cannot. For me, for example, when we say about the information, it will be different among the farmers in the food crop or in the forestry. Sorry about that, but I concern also about agroforestry. Maybe next time, also because maybe next time if we still have chance to have the other webinar, maybe we will have other research about agroforestry. Thank you.
Is for Professor Arkan. The question is how to convert farmer to absorb education from extension worker with their knowledge. Because usually it's always based on local knowledge. Iya tuh Kak Bro. The question is how to convince farmers to do innovation from extension worker with their local knowledge. Because usually it's only based on local knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Dr. Sophia. Many thanks for this question, Professor Marina. How to convince farmers to adopt innovations from extension workers with their local knowledge, because usually it is only based on local knowledge. Okay, now our extension workers are trained to serve as the link between research, right, and the farmer. Okay, research generates new knowledge on forestry or agriculture, forestry restoration or conservation, or agricultural production post-harvest. The extension worker brings this knowledge to the farmer. Okay, the point that the science of delivery is saying is that local knowledge from the farmer and indigenous knowledge from, let's say, the old kingdom of Mataram on how to propagate forests. The local knowledge and indigenous knowledge should also be captured. It should also be captured and documented and analyzed, systematized, to see whether it could be useful for farmers from other areas. Okay, local knowledge is as important as research-based knowledge if it is vetted or validated, or if it is systematized. Now, how do we convince the farmers to adopt innovations from extension workers? The farmers will only adopt the knowledge that the extension worker is sharing if it has an impact on their income. If it does not have any direct impact on their income, as farmers, chances are they will not adopt it. For instance, if we introduce a cropping system that involves large-scale inputs, very expensive inputs, such as fertilizer, chemical pesticides, or very expensive seeds, chances are the farmer will not adopt these innovations, if it will mean that they will lose money. But if it will add on to their income, then chances are they will use it. They will adopt that technology. And so one thing good about local knowledge is that it does not require large expenditures from the part of the farmer. We tend to think of farmers merely as producers or small-scale crop holders. No, they are not only this. The farmer is also a family man that needs to tend to the needs of his family. If a student is going to get married, then he needs to think of how to finance that wedding. If his son needs to go to college in Universitas Jember, he needs to think of how he could provide support to his son. If his wife is struck by COVID, then he also has to think of needs of ways to address the health requirements of his family. Let us think in terms of this, not only in terms of technologies that come from our research sector. Okay, so this is my answer, Ibu Professor Marina. I hope I satisfied your, I hope I answered your question satisfactorily. Terima kasih banyak.
Okay, sorry, because we have a problem with the network. I would like to answer the question from Mr. Wiono. What is the dominant factor in increasing agricultural production from the farmers? Okay. So if we discussion about what is the factor increasing the agricultural production, we cannot say that seed is more important than water. Seed more important than use of, for example, irrigation. So meaning that to have the increasing of agricultural production, we should remember the lima panca usaha tani, that including selection of superior seed, meaning that if we want to have high production, we should use superior seeds, and then also manage the soil in the good way, use of fertilizer. And then if there is a pest and disease attack, we should control it, and also water for the irrigation. So it should be a combination of all the panca usaha tani. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wiono. That's all my response. Is there any question for the speaker?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. But anyway,
yeah.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Dr. Nene. Could I add to what you have answered in this question on how to increase agricultural production?
Yeah,
I think the entry point that we do as agricultural extension workers is to start with what the farmers have. For example, that could be a good entry point, their local knowledge. So we cannot just introduce anything without embracing what is the existing knowledge that they have, and probably encourage them to do a field trial. So like it's a farmer-led experiment to see if the things that we say to them is true. So which has the higher yield? Because I think I also agree with Dr. Sandy Floor that as long as it has an impact on the income of the farmers, then they will buy that idea. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Christina.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Christina, Professor Alexander, and for Blenny for the answer. And the following question is for Dr. Christina Gabrielu. The question is from me.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Sure,
I see that the age of farmer in your research, both male and female, is over 40 years old. What's about the involvement of the youth in agriculture there in the place of your research? Are they still interesting working in agriculture?
I'm sorry, I didn't get much of the thought of your question. Can you say it again, please? Or yeah.
Okay. In your research, the age of farmer there, both female and male, is over 40 years old.
Yeah.
What is about the youth there?
Oh, the youth.
Are they still interesting in agriculture? Yes, the youth. I mean.
Oh, the youth. Yeah, you're asking about the youth.
Yes, yes.
The youth. I have observed that. Could I now answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Is there a problem?
Yeah.
Samsung Note 10 Plus.
Okay, thank you for that. I have observed that in the family or in the household, the elder son is also helping out. No, so it's not only I just mentioned the husband and the wife. No, but the eldest son or even the eldest daughter is helping in the rice field. So they also go with their parents, no? So especially the eldest son, they go with the husband early in the morning in the rice field and assist the father, no, in plowing, for example, if they do it manually, or assist the father in doing all those farming activities. So, but I think nowadays, that's why it's also a challenge now. When it comes to the youth, it's also a challenge now in the universities to really promote agriculture, because there's a dwindling number of enrollees. When it comes to the degree on like for example BSA, Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. And that's why our government here in the Philippines is now giving a free education and even scholarships and allowances to those who will enroll agriculture. So that's a plus or a reward point for them. So they would really appreciate the importance of agriculture here in our country, because agriculture here in the Philippines is the backbone, no, of our economy. So still, we acknowledge that one. And so, yeah, when it comes to the question on what about the youth, I could see that the elder or the eldest son are helping out their parents in the rice fields or in rice farming. Thank you.
The following question is from Tri Prajawahido. The question is how the impact of the socio-economic for our farmers in the activity of extension development, especially in agriculture countries, to face on COVID-19 pandemic, Revolution Industry 4 and Society 4. Thank you. This question is for who? You don't mention.
If I may answer that, Ibu Sofia.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is it this would be Ibu 3 or Pak 3?
Pak 3. Pak 3.
Pak
Yeah.
3.
Yes.
Okay. If there's anything that the pandemic has taught us, it is our ever-increasing dependence on information and communication technologies. Imagine if this pandemic hit us in 1985 or even in 1990, when there were no smartphones, no internet, no PCs, no Zoom, then we would not have coped as well as we have coped today. Now, that is true, I think, in terms of our farming sector also, and the people who stay in our forest communities. Indonesia has always been ahead of the curve insofar as information and communication technology use is concerned. Remember that Indonesia is the first Asian country to have launched its own satellite, right? You were the first Asian country to have launched its own satellite. I remember during the 70s and 80s, we were renting for the use of your Palapa satellite a transponder so that our television stations could broadcast via satellite. It was your satellite that made us able to do that. Indonesia was also the first country in Asia that instituted an open high school, SMP Terbuka, okay, using distance learning technologies. All these are modules, but they made use of radio lessons also, which is now being used now during the pandemic. But still, in the past 18 months, our school system has coped with the pandemic because of information and communication technology, because of limited internet connection, because of our smartphones. You remember, of course, that there was a time that Indonesia was #1 in the use of the BlackBerry. Enough so that BlackBerry itself had one of its later models called Jakarta. Okay, when I was there 10 years ago, everyone was using BlackBerry Messenger. I did also. But now, unfortunately, it has been overtaken by Android and iOS. Okay, but still, even among rural dwellers, people in the rural areas, they use WhatsApp. They use not only text messaging, they use chat boxes. So I think this is the impact of the pandemic on us. It made us more dependent on information and communication technology, and so even agricultural extension or forestry extension should make use of these platforms in order to reach our farmers, right? We should be focusing our research and our efforts now on tapping information and communication technologies, even go back to radio if it's needed, and even cable television or satellite television if required. But we need to have a more active search of the more appropriate technologies that we could use for our extension services. I hope that answered your question, Pa3. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ibu Sofia.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer.
Could I also answer that question?
Maybe Bu Christina will answer too for
just
explanation.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Dr. Sophia. Yes, I agree. I fully agree with Dr. Flor when he said that it's the use of ICTs this time, which is very relevant and very accessible, supposedly, hopefully, to our farmers. And I think the one that I presented to you a while ago is an example of preparing our farmers even before this pandemic, because they are already starting to use those ICTs on rice technologies like the Nutrient Manager for Rice Mobile and the Pinoy Rice Knowledge Bank. So especially now during lockdowns, we cannot just go directly to other area or to other village or community. So even the extension, agricultural extension workers are not allowed to visit, not to access and use of ICTs, for example, as an example, the rice ICTs, have prepared already, has prepared already, before this pandemic. So we really did not know that this pandemic will come. And even now we are still suffering and we're still trying to survive from it. And I would say that many have already, many have already suffered for this COVID-19 virus. Many have died. Many are still on quarantine. So we are very much grateful that we have this ICTs. So still the agricultural extension service continues. no, with these ICTs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. And the following question is for Buleni. The question is from me. In line with the COVID-19 pandemic, is there any changing of farmer in accessing information of agriculture?
Thank you, Sophia. About the changes of habit of the farmer during the pandemic COVID.
Okay, thank you, Bu Sofia. Regarding to the changings of habit of farmers during the pandemic era, I think that now they more use cell phone to access information, because there is a limitation to meet each other, even though as meet in the group farmers. So to find out the information, they just search through cell phone, even though the farmer itself don't know how to access, but they can ask. They can ask to their son, her son, or his son to access the information that they need. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sophia. Miss Sophia.
The following question from Iko Mang Damarjaya. The question is, what is the best way to make an invention to be adopted by government and then used by farmers? Hello?
Yes, Ibu Sofia is.
Yes.
Are we addressing Ibu Komang, or is this Pa Komang? Komang.
Komang.
Pa or Ibu? Okay, I'm sorry. What is the best way to make invention to be adopted by government and by farmers? An innovation will be endorsed by the government depending on its economic impact, number one, and also its environmental impact, okay, as well as its sociological impact or societal impact. So the invention or the innovation should result in economic gains for the farmer, as well as for the sector, the agricultural sector. But it should not be detrimental for the environment. It should not be a carbon sink, meaning it should not be, it should not generate so much carbon in the atmosphere. Number three, it should be sociologically sound or socially sound. It should not add to inequities or inequalities in society. If an innovation will only profit one sector or will increase the gap between the rich and the poor, then chances are it will not be endorsed. So this innovation should satisfy these three requirements. And I'm sure that the government of Indonesia will endorse it after testing it, of course. It will be endorsed to our clients, and that would be the farmers, rural housewives, and rural youth. Thank you. Thank you, Bu Sofia.
Okay, for my turn, I think Dr. Flor has said it well already. But for me, I just believe that if you're able to convince the government that that the innovation is for the common good, I don't think it will not get funded. So yeah, we should think of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. If we base that on those 17 areas of the Sustainable Development Goals, I think it will get funded and it will be also adopted by the farmers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And then maybe Buleni will give explanation too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Komang, for the question. Okay, for the invention of innovation, we should first know about the characteristic of the farmers. So, because we have some experience about innovation that maybe is not appropriate or suitable for the farmers. So, if there is a new or innovation or new technology, we should know how is this innovation. It has relative advantage or relevance to the farmers. They have a compatibility, relevance, or complexity, or difficult to adopt. We should concern with the 5 of innovation or what the stages of the fast, how they get the innovation, how to adopt the innovation. So we should know the characteristic of the farmers first, and then is it suitable, compatible or no, the technology for them. If the technology is not compatible for them, so meaning that we do not inform this innovation to them. For example, if we have new technology about direct seedling, for example, something like that, but we don't have the technical practices that are able to, to handle the machine. It is also will have a problem for the farmers. So that's all my my answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer, Buleni. The following question is from Mr. Ahmad Hidayat. The question is in relation to innovative of technology, for example, in smart farming project, what are the consideration in its application besides of internet connection? For example, in the case of Philippines farm.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Ibu Sofia. Thank you, Pa Ahmad, for this question. IoT means Internet of Things, right? Internet of Things. Now, this hasn't been widely used here in the Philippines. I don't know of any case of the use of Internet of Things in existing farms, unless these are the big corporate farms relying on automation instead of just augmentation. Automate certain procedures such as feeding, feeding livestock at certain times of the day, then there are certain gadgets that could sense the time and would provide the feed. This, I think, is not appropriate technology at the moment, still at the moment. Internet of Things is not yet appropriate for use in farming. I think there are more important applications. Consider, of course, that internet penetration is not that deep in our respective countries. Okay? Here in Southeast Asia, it's still Singapore that is number 1. Indonesia and the Philippines, I think, is number 5 and number 6. Okay? We are behind Thailand and Brunei and Malaysia, as a matter of fact. Because for one thing, there are areas in our country that are so difficult to reach. These are called rural and remote areas, or geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. Because of our terrain, our mountainous terrain without any roads. So it is difficult to have internet connection all over. Here in the Philippines, we have a project called Free Wi-Fi for All, where the government has established VSAT facilities even in areas that have no electricity, so that internet connections may be used by local government units and local extension workers who are able to, well, make use of their smartphones or their PCs or laptops. But it is so difficult for our farmers themselves. Yeah, I think that is the only example that I could provide here in the Philippines. Thank you, Pa Ahmad.
Thank you very much for your explanation, Dr. Alexander. Actually, there are some questions, but now the time is over. So we will end this session of discussion. For the last, I think it's better if the presenter will give close statement. The first for Dr. Alexander, please give your close statement for this webinar.
Thank you, Ibu Sophia. My dear colleagues, my dear brothers and sisters from Universitas Jember, thank you very much for inviting me in this international webinar on effective and innovative communication for agricultural extension. Indonesia is very close to my heart. My wife and I believe that this is our second home. We were newly married in 1980 when we first went to Indonesia on assignment with FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and UNDP in Central Java. We stayed in Surakarta, in Solo, near the Manahan ball field, and conceived our first son there. And from then, from 1980 onwards, I had had the opportunity to work in Indonesia as a consultant for FAO, for UNDP, and for the World Bank. And the last one was with JICA in 2010 to 2011, where both of us, my wife and I, were also able to participate in that project. Now my wife has another ADB project, which where she actually works from home here, from our house here in Los Baños, but she trains batches of trainees from the private sector in Semarang, in Surabaya, and in Makassar. And so I have many PhD advisees who are now very senior professors at Universitas Pertanian Bogor, as well as other universities in Indonesia. Ibu Leni was one of my students maybe 20 years ago. Okay. My apologies to you, Lenny, for revealing your age. Okay, but that's it. Thank you very much again, my dear brothers and sisters, and I'm very honored to be part of this activity. Banyak terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much.
Terima kasih.
Thank you very much. We do hope that the COVID pandemic will end as soon as possible, so you can visit Jember, maybe in another places in Indonesia. Next, for Dr. Christina, please give your close statement.
Thank you so much. I'm very much grateful for this opportunity given to me and this chance to be part of your international webinar. It's been an honor to be with you and also to present to you my dissertation. And I'm very happy that I also to say that I also learned much from my fellow presenters, and I hope this could not be the last sharing or presentation. We could have more of this in the future, and I would say thank you, mabuhay, salamat.
Thank you very much, Ibu Christina. Now, let's go on to the Ibu Lani Wijayanti for closing statement.
Thank you, Ma'am Sophia. Okay, I would like to thank all of the committee to ask me.
Thank you, Ma'am Sophia. Sorry, because our class is near the mosque. Now the time for the zuhur. Okay. I would like to say thank you to all committee who asked me to be one of the presenters today, and also in this time, I said thanks to Dr. Flor and Dr. Christina to be able as a speaker in this activity. I hope that we still have other days to have a great activity. And for other, we would like to say that farmers are unique persons. So don't ever stop to encourage and empower them, to make them have more production and more income earned. Okay, thank you. That's all from me.
Yang ini asuransinya full always selama 1 tahun.
Thank you very much, Pak Bulani. And finally, I conclude this seminar as stated by Dr. Alexander Flo. Knowledge is the power. Knowledge management is very important to apply in order to succeed the agriculture extension program. That is improving the knowledge of farmers. And finally, they can increase their production and their income. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the session is over, and I will remember you, all participants, next November in Faculty of Agriculture. There is also international seminar too. I hope you can participate in this international webinar, both as a participant or as a presenter. Thank you very much for your participation, and
Thank you for all of the participants. Terima kasih banyak, Dr. Flor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flor. See you next month.
Christina, thank you for your sharing, and also for all of participants. Regard to Ma'am Benji.
Thank you, Dr. Anda Sofia M. for guiding us as the moderator for this event, and also to all speakers. Is very grateful and useful knowledge for us. And we finally come to the end of today's agenda. Let us close the seminar by reciting Hamdallah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Those are the agendas we have presented to you all this morning till this noon. We hope you learned something. Thank you so much for your attention. See you on the next occasion. Before we close webinar, we will take our picture again together as they represent the end of the day. And please, for all participants, turn on your camera once again. And the speakers. Okay, thank you, Dr. Christina, and the rest of participants here. Okay, ready? On my mark, 1, 2, 3. Second page. 1, 2, 3. Next. 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. That's it for the capturing picture together. And then from the deep of my heart, I do an apologize for my mistakes while in mentoring this event. Behalf of the whole committee, thank you very much for your any kind participation and attention, and see you in the next moment. And once again, I will remind that this event is supported by ISDB, Islamic Development Bank, and fully supported by Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. On behalf of our presenters, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest on the weekend. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Flor. Thank you, Dr. Christina.
Christina, juga semua partisipan di sini. Sehat selalu. Terima kasih semuanya.
Thank you, Dr. Lenny.
Oke.
Miss you.
Miss you, Christina.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Okay, we hope that we still have other activity.
Yeah. It will be my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Oke, bye-bye semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.